music, sing oh, eh, oh. Just move those left feet, go ahead, get crazy. Anyone can do it, sing oh, eh, oh. Show the world you got that fire. Feel the rhythm getting louder. Show the room what you can do. Prove to them you got the moves. Hey, I don't know about you, but I feel better when I'm dancing. Yeah, yeah. I'm better when I'm dancing. Yeah, yeah. And we can do this together. I bet you feel better when you're dancing. Yeah, yeah. When you finally let go and you say that solo, 'cause you listen to that music, sing it oh, hey, oh. 'Cause you're confident, babe, yeah, and you make your hips sway. We knew that you could do it, sing oh, hey, oh. Show the world you got that fire, baby. Feel the rhythm getting louder. Show the room what you can do. Prove to them you got the moves. Hey, I don't know about you, but I feel better when I'm dancing. Yeah, yeah. I'm better when I'm dancing. Yeah, yeah. And we can do this together. I bet you feel better when you're dancing. Yeah, I feel better when I'm dancing. I'm better when I'm dancing. Hey, oh, hey, oh. I feel better when I'm dancing. Yeah, yeah. Better when I'm dancing. Yeah, yeah. Don't you know we can do this together? Bet you feel better when you're dancing. Yeah, I feel better when I'm dancing. I'm better when I'm dancing. Hey, feel better when I'm, yeah, yeah.
We just got a text. We need to find some hardworking FFA members to help us with our service project. Come on with us.
I am capable, we are unstoppable. It starts with you, it starts with me. Shape the future, aspire greater. It starts with us, it starts with we. Together we stand, united together. We better this land.
Hey, y'all, come on in.
Better this land. Rise up to the challenges, strive for greatness. I can, but together we will. I can, but together we will. I can, we will be the change we want to see. I can, we will step up and leave a legacy. I can, we will be the change we want to see. Be the change we want to see. Step up and leave a legacy. Embrace our difference, unite in similarities. See your potential, discover your ability. Where we live and where we lead, where we serve every single day. Our jackets, our standards, our talents lead the way. I can, we will make the promise of better days. Make the promise of better days. I can, we will be the change we want to see. I can, we will step up and leave a legacy. I can, we will be the change we want to see. Be the change we want to see. Step up and leave a legacy. We're all different, we're all unique, but when we come together, we can't be beat. Create a bigger impact. In fact, if I believe we can, we will be the change we want to see. I am powerful, you are powerful. Add it up and we're unstoppable. Together we're stronger than as individuals. Achieve a common goal. Unbelievable.
Members and guests, please rise for the national anthem, which is presented tonight by Briley Ish from the Burlington FFA chapter.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bronze stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
My name is Michael Adame. I am an agricultural education student here at K-State. I am from Fallbrook, California, proudly representing the Fallbrook FFA. When asked why I chose Kansas and why I came out here from California, it was simply that this is where agriculture is. I come from an area where agriculture, it's really not hip or cool to be in agriculture. I'm kind of a reverse story. Most people try and get out and go to California, go to the beaches. I needed to get back to the roots. I needed to get back to the genuine people in Kansas. I needed to get back to where people actually will hold the door open for you, where people will see how your day is going and actually genuinely meaning it. That's what I absolutely love about Kansas. What I love about K-State is they truly care about you. They truly want you to succeed. One of the best times I've had is at football games. Everyone's sitting in the field, you're wabashing, you're just having a good time cheering on the Wildcats, getting excited when there's a touchdown. It's some of the best feeling in the world, especially when the whole stadium is yelling KSU Wildcats. There is no better feeling.
Once upon a younger year, when all our shadows disappeared, the animals inside came out to play. Went face to face with all our fears, learned our lessons through the tears, made memories we knew would never fade. One day my father, he told me, son, don't let it slip away. He took me in his arms, I heard him say, when you get older, your wild heart will live for younger days. Think of me if ever you're afraid. He said one day you'll leave this world behind, so live a life you will remember. My father told me when I was just a child, these are the nights that never die. My father told me. Shining stars. He said go venture far beyond the shores. Don't forsake this life of yours. I'll guide you home no matter where you are. One day my father, he told me, son, don't let it slip away. When I was just a kid, I heard him say, when you get older, your wild heart will live for younger days. Think of me if ever you're afraid. He said one day you'll leave this world behind, so live a life you will remember. My father told me when I was just a child, these are the nights that never die. My father told me. These are the nights that never die. My father told me.
The convention hall will come to order. We are now holding the fourth session of the 90th Kansas FFA Convention. Mr. Vice President, are all officers at their stations?
I shall call the roll of officers, determine if they're at their stations, and report back to you, Mr. President. The Sentinel.
Stationed by the door.
Your duties there?
Through this door pass many friends of the FFA. It is my duty to see that the door is open to our friends at all times and that they are welcome. I care for the meeting room and paraphernalia. I strive to keep the room comfortable and assist the president in maintaining order.
The reporter.
The reporter is stationed by the flag.
Why by the flag?
As the flag covers the United States of America, so I strive to inform the people, in order that every man, woman, and child may know that the FFA is a national organization whose reaches from the state of Alaska to the Virgin Islands, and from the states of Maine to Hawaii.
The treasurer.
Stationed at the emblem of Washington.
Your duties there.
I keep a record of receipts and disbursements, just as Washington kept his farm accounts, carefully and accurately. I encourage thrift among the members and strive to build up our financial standings through savings and investments. George Washington was better able to serve his country because he was financially independent.
The secretary.
Stationed by the ear of corn.
Your duties there?
I keep an accurate record of all meetings and correspond with other secretaries wherever corn is grown and FFA members meet.
The advisor.
Here by the owl.
Why stationed by the owl?
The owl is a time-honored emblem of knowledge and wisdom. Being older than the rest of you, I am asked to advise you from time to time as the need arises. I hope that my advice will always be based on true knowledge and ripen with wisdom. Mr. Vice President, Why do you keep the plow at your station?
The plow is a symbol of labor and tillage of the soil. Without labor, neither knowledge nor wisdom can accomplish much. My duties require me to assist at all times in directing the work of our organization. I preside over meetings in the absence of our president, whose place is beneath the rising sun.
Why is the president so stationed?
The rising sun is the token of a new era in agriculture. If we will follow the leadership of our president, we shall be led out of the darkness of selfishness and into the glorious sunlight of brotherhood and cooperation. Mr. President, all officers are at their stations.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. The Secretary will call the roll of members.
I am pleased to announce that the fourth session of the 90th Kansas FFA Convention, there are 1,753 advisors, members, and guests registered, Mr. President.
Thank you. FFA members, why are we here? To practice brotherhood, honor agricultural opportunities and responsibilities, and develop those qualities of leadership which an FFA member should possess. May we accomplish our purposes. I now declare this the fourth session of the 90th Kansas FFA Convention duly open for the transaction of business or attention to any matters which may properly be presented. The Session 4 chair is always quick to point out the fuzziness of a beef animal. He loves to show his heifers and can most likely be found fitting his show animals or flipping through the pages of a show catalog. He also has an interest in calculus, and when he's not with his show animals, can be found working through his math problems in the engineering building or cruising on his moped. Please help me welcome your Kansas FFA reporter and chair for this fourth session, Riley Slichter.
Thank you, Eli, and good evening. Welcome to the fourth session of the 90th Kansas FFA Convention. If we look back to when we were younger, what was your favorite animal? I bet most people would say a cat, dog, penguin, or a cute fluffy panda. But for me, when I was younger, my favorite animal was a little pig. It was probably because my grandpa raised cute little show pigs and had me showing pigs from before I could walk. But I got my start showing livestock in the show pig industry. From there, I expanded my horizons and branched out into the cattle side of showing livestock and found something that you could probably say I love. Throughout my show career, I made countless memories and learned some valuable life lessons. Life lessons like the reoccurring one I hear from my mom every time I try to sing in the show barn, which is, Riley, you have no musical talents whatsoever. This proved as a valuable life lesson because my mom saved everyone tonight from having to hear my musical talents rather than our incredible state band, chorus, and national anthem singer just a few moments ago. Another lesson that I learned from the show barn is how many people it takes to make a calf look its best in the ring. As an individual, I can walk a calf into the ring. But with the help of a dozen unrecognized individuals behind the scenes, we will present that calf to the best of its ability. As FFA members, we are constantly doing incredible things with our talents, like uniting a population through a community garden and koi fish pond like the Wichita Southeast FFA chapter, or packaging 10,000 meals for the needy like the East Central District did this past March. As members, we can accomplish great things, but with the help of our advisors, parents, and supporters, we will make a positive difference in the communities that we are in. As we open the show barn during this fourth session of the 90th Kansas FFA Convention, we will hear the final remarks from your retiring State Vice President, John Kennedy, as he represents his retiring address, followed by the presentation of the honorary state FFA degree to some of our strongest individual supporters. Then we will reveal the champions of the discussion meet, extemporaneous speaking leadership development event, and prepared public speaking leadership development event. Finally, we will discover what chapters made the largest impacts on their communities in the Strengthening Agriculture section of the National Chapter Award, and hear from Rhett Laubach our keynote speaker for this evening. Kansas FFA members and guests, let's grab the halter, get show ring ready, and step into the ring for this 4th session of the 90th Kansas FFA Convention. At this time, I would like to invite to the podium Joel and Joseph Kennedy for a special introduction of our upcoming speaker.
Kansas FFA, over the past year you have gotten to know our brother. If you have had the opportunity to spend very much time with him, you know that he enjoys his coffee black, always has a random fact to share, and is not a morning person. He is a hard worker and a great friend. This person is our brother John. If you have had the opportunity to spend very much time with John, you know that he always has a joke to share, even if it is one of his anti-jokes that are painful to listen to. Or maybe you've gotten to hear one of his famous voice impersonations. Chances are, if you've met John, he's left you with a good laugh. Not only does John have a good sense of humor, he is also caring, intelligent, and humble. However, we're going to tell you a few things maybe you didn't know about John.
From an early age, John was obsessed with superheroes, the Justice League, the Avengers, and even Star Wars. To this day, John is a walking Star Wars encyclopedia. If there's anything you need to know about Star Wars, just ask John. However, as John got older, his perspective on role models changed. In his sophomore year of high school, he attended his first National FFA Convention. His experience at National Convention that year made a lasting impact on him. It enhanced his passion for agriculture. He became inspired and motivated to educate others about the importance of agriculture. So it was no surprise to us when he chose ag education as his major. Then, in 2016, he announced he would be running for state office.
We are proud to introduce my younger brother
and my older brother and your 2017-2018 Kansas FFA State Vice President, John Kennedy.
As we sat on the front porch of that old gray house where I was born and raised, staring at the dusty fields where my daddy worked hard every day, I think it kinda hurt him when I said, Daddy, there's a lot that I don't know. But don't you ever dream.
There I was, working with my family in the garden on a hot summer day. As I'm crouched down, pulling weeds from around our tomatoes, I hear a noise. So I look down the road and see something glimmer in the distance. Whatever it is, it's coming faster and faster, rushing down the road, leaving a huge trail of dust. When the object finally came into view, I realized that this was what my family called the silver bullet. The silver bullet was a silver Lincoln MKZ and was known in our neighborhood for rushing up and down the road on a regular basis. It was operated by my 77-year-old great aunt Kathleen, or as I call her, Auntie. My auntie and Uncle Dale lived just down the road from me and were a huge influence on me growing up. Auntie may have a foot made of lead, but she certainly has a heart of gold. That day, she had already played organ at our local church and was driving 15 miles to Holton just to play at the next Mass there. After that, she was going to help her grandkids with their 4-H cooking projects. This is just a day in the life of Auntie. She has always spent so much time serving and investing in others. Before retirement, she had spent many years serving others as a nurse. Even after retirement, she helps out with community dinners, 4-H events, supports our high school at almost all our local ball games, and is intentional about visiting the elderly in our community. Auntie values others, her family, her friends, and her neighbors. She is able to live out what she values through her dedication to serving others. What would our lives look like if we're intentional in identifying our values and living for them? One cold November day, my family and I were out in the pasture catching calves. My younger brother Joel and I were making our way across the pasture on foot when we came across a huge ditch. Now, Joel was ahead of me. When he reached the ditch, he easily leapt across it. I could not yet see how far across the ditch was, but after seeing my younger brother clear it, I thought that I could do it too. I ran straight for the ditch, but when I was a few feet from the edge, I saw that this ditch was nearly 10 feet wide. I dug my heels in the dirt, knowing that I couldn't possibly jump that. Alas, I was too late. I had already built up too much momentum, and thus tumbled off the edge into the ditch below, into 4 feet of standing water. I emerged sopping wet, freezing cold, just to see my younger brother laughing his tail off at me. Though I'd spent my entire life on a farm, it was not something I was skilled at. Falling into the ditch that day wasn't that bad, but for me, it was the culmination of all the struggles I'd had. Through the years working on the farm, I had fed cows every day during the freezing cold of winter, built fence during the heat waves of summer, threw square bales in 100-degree weather, and spent entire days picking heads off of thistles. I felt lost and confused. If I don't care about agricultural life, then who am I? It wasn't until a few years later that I was able to understand what my core principles were. One night, I was feeling pretty stressed and irritable. At the time, I had a bad attitude, and when I was in a bad mood, it was unpleasant for everyone around me. That whole day, I had been disrespectful to my parents and my siblings. When my dad finally had enough, he said, "John, let's go outside." I knew I was in trouble. I was afraid of what he was going to say. But when I got out there, he was as calm as could be. For the next few hours, my dad and I talked about all the things that were stressing me out, why I was so angry, and how I was struggling with my faith and life on the farm. He reassured me of my worries and helped me see some of the things that I valued. That night, I had a glimpse at some of my dad's values: faith, loyalty, authenticity, and hard work. I realized that I shared some of these values with him, and that it was through my agricultural background that I learned these things. I learned to appreciate agricultural life for the values it instilled in me. Though I don't plan to return to the farm, I now understand that I can apply my values in other avenues of agriculture, like teaching ag. In our journey of life, we may not know our destination. When I was in high school, I struggled a lot with not knowing what I wanted to do, and it caused a lot of unnecessary stress in my life. But that's why we have our values. Though I still don't know the things that I want to do 20 years from now, I now understand that if I follow my values, I will reach my destination. Our values are intangible characteristics that guide our decisions in life and define us. Our values serve as our compass. If we reflect on them constantly and stay true to them, they will never fail to point us towards our destination. For instance, my values are faith, loyalty, authenticity, and hard work. By following these, they have brought me to many memorable experiences in my FFA chapter, in my home, church, high school, and college. When we are intentional in identifying our values, we can live more purposefully throughout our day-to-day lives. What are your values? Think about the things that guide your decisions. Choose your 3 most important values. Grab these thoughts, hold on to them, and when we return home tonight, let's write these down on a piece of paper. Then let's place that list of values somewhere where we'll see it every day. Mirrors, desks, and cars are all great places. In fact, here's where I keep mine. This guides me on my journey and helps me remember what I stand for. When we identify our values, we can know ourselves better and live more purposefully because of it. Last January, several of my state officer teammates and I were on our way to South Africa for the International Leadership Seminar for State Officers. We were waiting in the airport in Kansas City when Skylar had plopped down next to me with a croissant in her hand that she had bought for breakfast. And she was going on and on about how buttery this croissant was. I finally had enough and sarcastically said, "I can't believe it's not butter." When I had said this, a man in military uniform turned around behind us and said, "I was totally going to say the same thing." So we all laughed and struck up a conversation with him about butter. As we talked with him more and more, we invited him to come and sit with us. He did, and we learned a little bit more about this man. His name was Jeremy. He was from Missouri, and he was on his way to DC to complete his training as a Black Hawk mechanic. Jeremy was an incredibly nice guy. He had a lot of funny stories and was interested in getting to know us. Eventually, one of us asked him the question, "Why did you choose to serve?" He paused for a moment and responded with some of the most inspirational words I have ever heard. Jeremy said, "I love my home. I love the down-to-earth people of this country, and I care a lot about our way of life. That's why I'm sitting here with you, talking with you, getting to know you. That's also why I chose to serve, because the people of this country are valuable to me, and I want to protect that." When I had heard this, I was amazed. Jeremy knew his values, and by following them, they had led him to his purpose. By investing in people just like us, he was living true to his values of helping others. In turn, they pointed him to his purpose, to protect those he loved by serving his country. It's okay not to know our destination, but this shouldn't discourage us from taking the wheel on our journey. This means going above and beyond to serve our values. Perhaps you value integrity. Taking the wheel could mean playing with sportsmanship on the court or on the field. Maybe you value responsibility. Taking the wheel could mean accepting additional duties in your FFA chapter, celebrating the results, or owning up to your mistakes and correcting them next time. When we act upon our values, we blaze a trail on our journey toward our destination. Jeremy took the wheel on his journey by investing in those around him and enlisting in the military. Because of this, he has moved closer and closer to understanding his overarching mission. When we act upon our values, we become the drivers on our road to destiny. How can we live according to our values? Remember that list of values that we're going to create tonight? Each day, let's consider if our actions reflect our values. Try this while you tie on your shoes in the morning. As we put on our right shoe, let's think about the things we've done right, decisions we've made that have reflected our values. As we put on our left shoe, let's think about the things we have left. Perhaps we find that we failed to perform according to our values. Maybe we uphold loyalty, but we gossiped about a friend. Or we value others, but we passed up an opportunity to help someone in need. How can we improve and live according to our values in the future? Maybe it's apologizing to our friend that we gossiped about and asking for forgiveness. Or it's taking our own personal time to invest in someone else. When we incorporate our values into our daily lives, we make leaps towards understanding our overarching mission. When my auntie sped down the road, she always drove with her values in mind, to serve others and grow relationships with them. When we identify our values like my dad and Jeremy, we know ourselves so much better. When we identify and live by our values, we become the drivers on our journey, and it ensures that we will reach our destination. Dig deep to find the things that you value. Incorporate those values into your daily lives. Take the wheel and let your values be your guide.
There's dusty fields no matter where you go, and you may change your mind, 'cause the weeds are high where corn don't grow.
John, thank you for having the heart and soul of an old man. Your awful dad jokes and puns always brought life to our many road trips this year. And you constantly served as a reminder for me to what it means to be a true servant leader. We are excited to see how many more young people's lives you begin to impact as you take on your role as an agricultural educator here in the next few years. Love, Quentin, Marie, Eli, and Skylar, and Riley. Kansas FFA members and guests, I am proud to present to you your 2017-2018 Kansas FFA Vice President, John Kennedy. At this time, please help me welcome some very special people in John's life to the stage.
Mr. Shoup and Mrs. Walsh, thank you for your continued support to the Jackson Heights FFA chapter. Mr. Shoup, no one gets more excited for our Aggie Olympics than you do. Your competitive spirit always allows us to have awesome excitement in our chapter events. Mrs. Walsh, thank you for the time that you helped me practice my interviewing skills. Just as you helped me, you hold all students to a high standard and help them reach their potential. Kansas FFA, members and guests, please help me welcome my high school principal, Mr. Darren Shoup, and my school superintendent, Mrs. Adrienne Walsh. Mr. Lears, I appreciate all the guidance you have offered me over the past 5 years. Thank you for the many hours you have helped me spend rehearsing my speeches, practice my sales pitches, and prepare my livestock reasons. You always offer true and sincere feedback to all of your students. Your integrity and how you value true learning over a first place plaque on the wall is something that's truly admirable. Kansas FFA members and guests, it is my honor to present to you my advisor, Mr. Paul Lears. Mom and Dad, without you two, my FFA journey would have never happened. If you hadn't pushed me to take agri-science my freshman year, I don't know where I would be today. You supported me every step of the journey, even when I was difficult. Mom, thank you for being someone who I can always go to when I need advice. Dad, thank you for all the opportunities you have provided me throughout the years. Though it took a lot of moving and shaking, you helped me step outside my comfort zone and become the person that I am today. Kansas FFA, members and guests, it is my honor to present to you my parents, Kelly and Kimberly Kennedy, as I bestow upon them their honorary state FFA degree.
Thank you for all you've done to help prepare John to make a significant impact on the Kansas FFA Association this year during his year of service. Please join me in a round of applause for all of John's administrators, advisor, and parents. Toward the end of every show, before the selection of the champion animal, the judge for the show takes a few moments to share a message for the exhibitors and audience gathered around the ring. That message is our first lesson. Always thank your parents, guardians, advisors, and role models for everything that they do to help you get to where you are. Whether that is showing livestock, playing sports, or attending FFA events, there are people behind us that help us get that opportunity, and we need to share thanks with them. Likewise, the Kansas FFA Association has numerous individuals that share their time, talents, and efforts with the Kansas FFA Association to help the association be as successful as it is. The honorary FFA degree is the highest degree a state can bestow upon an individual and is granted to those who have shared significantly of their time, talents, or efforts for the betterment of agriculture, agricultural education, or FFA. I now call upon your Kansas FFA President, Eli Oldie, to assume the duties of the chair.
It is always a pleasure to receive honorary members into the FFA. The purpose of this ceremony is to recognize, from time to time, the efforts of others made on our behalf. Madam Secretary, please read the section of the National Constitution which provides for honorary membership.
Honorary membership. Farmers, principals, school superintendents, members of boards of education, chapter advisors, teachers, staff members of agriculture education, business people, and others who are helping to advance agriculture education and the FFA, and who have rendered outstanding service, may be elected to honorary membership by a majority vote of the members present at any regular meeting or convention.
Madam Secretary, will you introduce those who are to receive this honor?
Mr. President, members, and guests, I am pleased to read the following names. Lonesome Pine Ranch, represented by Bob and Leah Aldridge, Mr. Matt Baxter, and Mr. Jeff Gillespie. Our first honorary state FFA degree recipient we are honoring today is Lonesome Pine Ranch in Cedarville, Kansas. Lonesome Pine Ranch is owned and operated by Bob and Leah Aldridge and was nominated by the Sedan FFA chapter. Over the past 5 years, Mr. and Mrs. Aldridge have hosted the Southeast District Horse Evaluation Career Development event, investing more than 40 hours of their time to ensure the district has a strong event. Since their involvement began, Mr. and Mrs. Aldridge have also helped to increase the interest in equine and assist 4-H and FFA members with their equine projects. Thank you, Mr. and Mrs. Aldridge, for your support of the Kansas FFA Association. This evening, the second recipient of the honorary state FFA degree is Mr. Matt Baxter. Mr. Baxter is our recently retired Kansas FFA Alumni Association president, who currently resides in Morganville with his wife Melissa and children Anna and Ryan. Mr. Baxter has shown true passion for the Kansas FFA Association, the first to volunteer to support the association any way possible. He has also judged many events, helped start charter alumni across the state, and currently serves as the Kansas FFA Alumni Association Executive Director. He hails from the Clay Center FFA chapter, and at most can be identified as the FFA guy, popping up on many Kansas FFA members and advisors' Twitter feeds. Thank you, Mr. Matt Baxter, for all the support you have provided for our association. This evening, our third recipient of the honorary degree is Mr. Jeff Gillespie. Mr. Gillespie is in his 13th year as the agriculture educator and FFA advisor at Anderson County, where he resides with his wife Karen and children Haley, Tyler, and Braden. To his students, Mr. Gillespie is known as a barbecue expert, cat lover, and excellent advisor, as he always goes above and beyond for his students. He sees the value in all components of agriculture education model, placing emphasis on scholastic achievement, supervised agriculture experiences, and leadership development events in his program. Mr. Gillespie is also serving as president of the Kansas Association of Agriculture Educators. Thank you, Mr. Gillespie, for your constant support of the Kansas FFA Association.
I welcome you as friends of the FFA. It is my privilege as Sentinel to extend to each of you the symbolic handclasp of friendship and brotherhood.
As a reporter, I am pleased to inform you that the FFA is a national youth organization whose purpose is in developing agricultural leaders. Welcome to membership.
Your contributions as useful citizens in our democracy serves as an example for all of our members to follow. As treasurer, I welcome you all to our organization.
The FFA needs guidance and counsel from recognized leaders. It is my pleasure as secretary to add your name to our roll of honorary members.
As vice president, I welcome you to the FFA. I would inform you that our members learn to appreciate the dignity of labor. Without labor, neither knowledge nor wisdom can accomplish much.
On behalf of every member, I wish to say that we are proud to have you as honorary members. May this affiliation prove valuable to all. I impress upon you that we look to you for counsel and guidance. It is because of the great respect we have for you that you have been elected to honorary membership. May we always cooperate for the benefit of all. I now confer upon you honorary membership in the Kansas FFA Association.
Please join me in congratulating our honorary state FFA degree recipients. As you can expect, not everyone agrees with how the judge decides to place the class during a show. We can whine and argue, but the fact of the matter is, once that judge decides to place the class how he or she believes it should be placed, it is going to stay that way. Leading us to lesson number 2. Arguing does not always help your case. While I have never been successful at arguing with the judge to rearrange the class, I may have had better luck with having these next 4 individuals trying to persuade the judge in my favor. These 4 individuals are the finalists for the second Discussion Meet Leadership Development event, which we host in conjunction with Kansas Farm Bureau. During the discussion meet, the contestants are required to take a stance on an agriculturally related issue, then discuss their agreements and disagreements with their fellow peers on the topic. Thank you, Kansas Farm Bureau, for your support. We're pleased to have Doug Zillinger from the Kansas Farm Bureau Board of Directors here with us this evening to help present the awards. Madam Secretary, will you please read the results of the Discussion Meet Leadership Development events?
In 4th place is Abby Goins from the Labette County FFA chapter. Receiving 3rd place is Brandon Karp from the Mays FFA chapter. Earning 2nd place is Michael Dowd from the Spring Hill FFA chapter. And the winner of this year's discussion meet is Max Harmon from the Inman FFA chapter. Let's congratulate all of these FFA members one more time as they leave the stage.
One of the unique opportunities that we have with showing livestock is the ability to serve as an advocate for the agricultural industry. I can remember countless times where the public came strolling by with very little to no exposure or connection to production agriculture. Being these people's usually only connection to production agriculture, I try to take these times in stride and make the most of the opportunity. These opportunities bring us to lesson number 3. Always be ready to advocate. We have the opportunity to make or break these individuals' views of production agriculture with our brief experiences with them. And the students in the Agricultural Issues Forum Leadership Development events have taken this idea of advocacy to the next level. In this LDE, students research a current agricultural issue, critically think through and process the material, and present their findings to local groups and a panel of judges. Madam Secretary, will you please read the results of the Agricultural Issues Forum Leadership Development event?
In 3rd place is the Ellsworth FFA chapter. Earning 2nd is the Skyline FFA chapter. the first place team in the Agriculture Issues Forum, LDE, is the Tonganoxie FFA chapter. Let's congratulate these chapters as they exit the stage.
At the end of every good show heifer's career lays one thing: going out and becoming a mama. It feels like a big time both in my life and the heifer's, because she is no longer going to be my little baby, and I'm going to feel like I turn into a grandpa when that calf is born. But, of course, every spring, calving season rolls around, and it turns into both a stressful and exciting time. When a heifer is calving, I have to make the decision of whether or not she needs help, developing the skill and lesson number 4. We always need to be ready to think on our feet. As FFA members, we are constantly having to think in stressful situations. Some members have taken this talent to the next level by participating in the extemporaneous public speaking leadership development event. In this LDE, students are given a prompt and 30 minutes to prepare a 4 to 6 minute speech to present to an audience. These students excel in their public speaking abilities. Tonight, we have the opportunity to honor the 4 finalists in the extemporaneous public speaking LDE, where the winner will have the opportunity to represent Kansas at the 91st National FFA Convention and Expo this fall. The extemporaneous speaking LDE is sponsored by the Kansas FFA alumni. We are proud to have Christina Hoffman with us here tonight to help present the awards. Madam Secretary, will you please read the results of the extemporaneous public speaking contest?
Placing fourth and receiving $25 and a plaque is Alan Hines from the Tonganoxie FFA chapter. In third place, also receiving $25 and a plaque, is Skylar Zinger from the Washington County FFA chapter. The second place finisher receiving $50 and a plaque is Kale Patterson from the Norton FFA chapter. And this year's winner of the State Extemporaneous Public Speaking Leadership Development event, earning $100 and a plaque, is Brandon Karp from the Mays FFA chapter. Congratulations to all of the participants in this year's event, and to Brandon, who will represent the Kansas FFA Association at National Convention this fall.
We were feeding the calves and ran out of grain. To make matters worse, the feed store was closed for the weekend, and I would not be able to get more grain until Monday. For those who may be wondering, grain for the steer is the equivalent of candy for a kid. And we all know that kids are not happy when they run out of candy. Boy, oh boy, Dad was not going to be happy when I had to explain this one to him. Which brings us to lesson number 5. Always be prepared. When you're prepared, you are able to make the best experience for yourself and for those around you. Or, in my case, the hungry calves. I would have much rather had one of our next members explain my issue to my dad rather than myself, because they are skilled at talking in front of people. These next members have spent countless hours preparing and practicing what they are going to say and can say it in the right way. The Prepared Public Speaking Leadership Development event allows students to write and practice their speech over an agriculturally related topic before they skillfully present it before an audience. This evening, we have the honor of recognizing the 4 finalists in this LDE, and the winner has the opportunity to represent Kansas at the 91st National FFA Convention this fall. Let's thank the Landau Corporation for their generous sponsorship of the Prepared Public Speaking LDE. Madam Secretary, please read the results of the Prepared Public Speaking Contest.
Placing fourth and receiving $25 and a plaque is Skylar Zinger from the Washington County FFA chapter. In third place, also receiving $25 and a plaque, is J.W. Wells from the Sedan FFA chapter. The second place finisher, receiving $50 and a plaque, is Ashley Chander from the Neodesha FFA chapter. And this year's winner of the State Prepared Public Speaking Leadership Development event, earning $100 and a plaque, is Grace Roth from the Holcomb FFA chapter. Congratulations to all the participants in this year's event and to Grace, who will represent the Kansas FFA Association at National Convention this fall.
I was once asked the question, why do you show livestock? I usually responded with, well, because it's fun. I enjoy it. Then the person said, no, why do you show livestock? What is the purpose behind it? The question stumped me. After a while of thinking, I realized that the reason that we show livestock is to display the elite genetics within our industry with the intent to improve the industry by sharing our genetics. This thought brought me to the realization and lesson number 6. Always strive to better what you are involved with. Progress does not happen by individuals simply going through the motions. If no one within our organization worked to better FFA from when it began, we might not be a whole lot different when then those 33 men started FFA back in 1928. Thankfully, these next chapters we will recognize have shown their dedication to progress by strengthening agriculture. These chapters have shown excellence in the Strengthening Agriculture section of the National Chapter Award. Let's give a big thank you to the Western Equipment Dealers Association for their support of the National Chapter Award. Madam Secretary, please read the names of the award-winning chapters.
In the Bronze Division, the Blue Valley FFA chapter. The Elk Valley FFA chapter. The Neodesha FFA chapter. The Quinter FFA chapter. The Rossville FFA chapter. The West Elk FFA chapter. Join me in congratulating the winners of these participants in the Bronze Division once again. In the Silver Division, the Altoona Midway FFA chapter. The Caney FFA chapter. The Central FFA chapter. The Chaparral FFA chapter. The Cherryville FFA chapter. The Fort Scott FFA chapter. The Girard FFA chapter. The Jackson Heights FFA chapter. The Marion FFA chapter. The Marmonton Valley FFA chapter. The McLeod FFA chapter. The Russell FFA chapter. The Solomon FFA chapter. The Stanton County FFA chapter. The Valley Heights FFA chapter. The Fairfield FFA chapter. Let's give the chapters in the silver division another round of applause. Please direct your attention to the screen as we highlight the chapters ranking in the gold division. The chapters ranking in the gold division are the Beloit FFA chapter, the Bueller FFA chapter, the Chapman FFA chapter, the Clay Center FFA chapter, the Ellsworth FFA chapter, the Hayes FFA chapter, the Hiawatha FFA chapter, the Holton FFA chapter, the Hugoton FFA chapter, the Inman FFA chapter, the Marysville FFA chapter, the Mission Valley FFA chapter, the Republic County FFA chapter, the Riverton FFA chapter, the Southeast of Saline FFA chapter, the Southern Lyon County FFA chapter, the Southwestern Heights FFA chapter, the Spring Hill FFA chapter, The Tonganoxie FFA chapter. The Udall FFA chapter. Let's give all the chapters receiving recognition in the Strengthening Agriculture Division one more round of applause.
The livestock industry has blessed my life with numerous amazing people, and many of these individuals are spread out across the United States. Some friends I only get to see in person a handful of times per year while we are at livestock shows together. And these long-distance relationships have taught me lesson number 7. Enjoy your time with people while you are there. We often have these people who pop in and out of our lives, and while we are with these people, it is important to take time to truly be present in our conversations. Tonight, with the help of Rick and Bonnie Mailer, the CHS Foundation, and Harris Crop Insurance, we have the opportunity to spend our time with an inspiration for individuals across our nation. Rhett Lobach, as a professional speaker, author, expert, and founder-operator of Your Next Speaker, has presented keynotes and seminars for over 20 years in 48 states, Canada, and the Bahamas to over 1 million audience members. Rhett is a dedicated Christian, husband, and father, and a community leader in Edmond, Oklahoma. Please join me in a warm Kansas FFA welcome for Rhett Lobach.
Please. Hello, is this on? Can you hear me? Please give a huge round of applause to your state FFA officers. They are killing it. Come on, like you mean it. Like you mean it. Make your hands hate you. Come on. Keep it going. Let's make it weird. Come on. Come on. Come on. I can't hear you. I can't hear. Come on. Okay, that's enough. They're going to get a big head. Hello, Kansas F to the hey. How's it going? Woo! Like your outfits. Good choice. Went with the quarter and the Roy. That's a good outfit. That's a nice work. I appreciate it. Hey, I'm going to check to make sure our business is working. Round of applause if you'd like to have some fun for the next 45 minutes. Anyone? Okay. All right. All right. Good. If you didn't applaud just now, feel free to leave because you're probably going to be offended by our session because we are going to have a phenomenal slap your mama good time. How many people your mother is in the room? Round of applause, your mother is physically in the room. Round of applause. Okay. If you wouldn't mind, if you're seated close to her, if you wouldn't mind finding her and pre-apologizing, she probably will be slapped during this session. We are going to have a slap your mama good time. Let's go. All right. Please. Do not slap your mother. Everybody raise your right hand. Do it. Raise your right hand. Everyone, I can't see you, but I can feel you. I can smell you. Do you have any idea what 1,800 FFA members and family members and supporters and sponsors smells like? This. Repeat after me. I will not slap anyone's mother tonight or really anytime in the future. Amen. I never know how to end those. All right. Okay, so we're going to check to make sure the music is working. Kyle, here we go. Let's check it. All right. Yes. Let's see if this one. Hey, hold on. Woo, 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 woo. There's so much good stuff. My 13-year-old loves this song. I don't understand a word of it. I have no idea. I don't understand this. Right? Round of applause if you've heard this song before. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I have no idea what it means. Now this, I understand. Hey, I'm a 44-year-old Caucasian male that grew up on a pig farm in Oklahoma, and I even understand what this means. Yes. I would dance, but you would not like that, so we should stop. Round of applause if you know what artist this is. Round of applause if you know what artist this is. Okay, just yell out whatever's coming to mind. I love it. Thank you very much. Yes, absolutely. This name is Carlos Santana, okay? Or as they say in California, Carlos Santana. Carlos is one of the most famous electric guitarists in the world. This guy is absolutely fee to the nominal. This guy is. That's not Carlos. Those are the drummers. I can't stop. It's organic. I'm sorry. Carlos. I can't see you because Ethan and Brett are trying to warm me up and cook me really hot. But I know for a fact that there's at least 27 of you going, what is going on? So Carlos Santana, I love music. I don't know how you feel about it, and really it doesn't matter, but I love music. I'm a huge fan. I believe that's why God gave you ears, is for music. And let me be more specific, shall I? I am a big fan of Spotify. Round of applause. You've heard of Spotify. You have Spotify? Yes, of course. If you get nothing else from tonight's time that Uses and Ises are having together, you should take a picture of this guy. Yep, I just called the screen a guy, okay? Take a picture of that if you're on Spotify and go search for my name and just enjoy the playlist. They are awesome. Trust me. Let me again be more specific. I have a playlist on Spotify called Faces and Places. It's over 900 songs, and all of them, the title of the song, have either a person's name or a place's name as the title of the song. Anatomy is another playlist. Over 350 songs that have a human body part in the title of the song. More cowbell, 117 songs featuring the cowbell. This is good stuff, people. So you should go check it out. So where I'm going with this is Carlos to the Santana is 70 years old. And this guy still gets on stage and rocks it like it's 1969, all right? He's been playing the guitar on stages for 50 years. This guy's been killing it, and he still does it every single night. Now, Dan Rather. Round of applause if you know who Dan Rather is. Round of applause. Okay. All right. Students, that's called generationally profiling the audience is what that's called. Dan Rather. So Carlos Santana, phenomenal musician, rock and roll artist, cool. Dan Rather, old news guy. Okay. Dan Rather started a new interview show, all right, where he spends 90 minutes interviewing the most famous rock and roll artists on planet Earth. Hey, if you've never seen Dan Rather interview Kid Rock, you haven't lived, all right? It's on Access Television. I don't know if you have internet or cable or electricity where you live. We didn't growing up on my farm many weeks of the year. That's called winter, but you should check it out. So Dan Rather was interviewing Carlos Santana, and he asked him, he said, how do you do it, Carlos? How do you, after 50 years of rocking it out on the guitar, how do you still get on stage and give it everything you got all the time? And Carlos, and he asked him this while they were on stage before one of his concerts. That's what Dan likes to do. So they were on stage. The crew was setting up. No one in the audience yet. And Dan said, "How do you do it, Carlos? How do you still give it your best?" And Carlos looked around, and he looked at Dan, and he said, "I can still have happiness and joy in my career today because I'm grateful." He said, "I'm grateful for these people that I get to work with. I'm grateful for the skills and talents that I have been blessed with. I am grateful for the audience that will be here tonight, that we even just for a few hours get to bring joy and happiness and a smile into their life." He said, "Dan, you can't decide to be happy, but you can decide to be grateful." I don't know how you feel about being involved in the F to the F to the hey, but if you're not grateful for wearing the blue and the gold, for being involved in this organization, then you're just not paying attention. I have the wonderful opportunity to be able to tell many people every year that understand and can spell FFA and understand what I'm talking about, that I have the blessed opportunity to say I hold the Green Hand degree, the chapter degree, the state degree, the American degree, the honorary state degree, the honorary American degree. I believe in the future of agriculture with a faith born not of words but of deeds, achievements won by the present and past generations of agriculturalists in the promise of better days through better ways, even as the better things we now enjoy have come to us from the struggles of former years. Can I get an amen? Let's go, baby. So, was that too much? Just a little bit? I say that because I think it's very important for you to understand, first of all, let's begin with the end in mind. Right? I'm grateful that we get to have some fun tonight. I'm grateful that we get to experience a few minutes together. I'm grateful for that. And because I'm grateful, I'm going to have a huge, awesome, fun time. And I hope that you understand the connection between those two. Because we got some students in here, some adults in this room. You need some more joy in your life. You need some more happiness in your life. Don't look for it in a phone. Don't look for it in things. Don't look for it in accomplishments. Look for it in gratefulness. Because when you're more grateful, you're more joyful, period. And secondly, I think it's so important for you to understand that the guest speaker that they've invited here this evening speaks FFA, right? My dad was an ag teacher for 35 years. How many people in here, round of applause, your ag teacher's a little weird, a little off, a little borderline? Woohoo! Wow. Okay. Dude, students, do you know they're sitting right next to you? That's amazing. Be bold. Be courageous. Please remember they're your ride home. Okay, let's go. Well, my dad's the same way. Hey, my dad, whenever I was in high school, I made him so mad at the ag barn, he hurled a rake at my head. And my dad's a great dad. Best dad I've had my entire life. This guy is awesome, right? I love him. He is super. If people think of me even half of the way that they think about my dad in terms of respect, then I've lived a good life. But he hurled a rake at my head. Right? And that was legal back then. Yeah. That guy got one thrown at him 2 weeks ago, I can tell. Or he threw it. Right? So I love the FFA, and I'm excited to spend a few minutes with you tonight. Now, you guys know a few things about me. A few other things you should know. I've been a guy my entire life. I was born naked. I grew up in the least populated county in Oklahoma. There's 2 villages, 2 post offices. They turn the electricity off on the weekends. Grew up on a pig farm. I was a 2-term FFA officer. I went to Oklahoma State University, graduated in Ag Econ. I've been speaking since the age of 2. I've been doing it professionally since 1999. I've made 3 children. I have 3 offspring. They're all female. They live at our house. That's where we keep them. And so, woo! Woo! The oldest one became a teenager back in January. If you're the praying type, please pray. Right? And so you guys know a few things about me. I need to find out exactly who we've got in the room, see if you're exactly ready for the fun that's getting ready to happen. So what I'd like you to do is follow these instructions to a T. Are you ready? Say, uh-huh. Please scoot to the front edge of your chair. Front edge of your chair, that's right before the short fall. Scoot to the front edge of the stair, please. Front edge of your chair, please. Put your feet firmly on the ground. If you're vertically challenged, you can dangle them. That's perfectly fine. If you have... Did I just say that out loud? Okay. If you have any obstacles in your hand, any phones, purses, books, small fur-bearing animals, if you have a human child in your hand, you need to set everything on the floor. Your hands need to be, don't put your baby down, lady. Keep your baby in your hands, all right? I am not responsible for what happens to that baby. You all heard me say that, okay? Your hands need to be free and available. Please put your hands out to your side, one like this or like this, above or below the two hands of the two people beside you, okay? Now, seriously, Ethan and Brett, your light guys, they're driving a Mack truck right at me, and it's getting closer. It's getting closer. I see dead people. So please follow instructions. You should be on the front edge of your chair. Your feet should be firmly on the ground. There should be nothing in your hands. Adults, I'm talking to you too. You have belly buttons. Play along, okay? One hand should be out to this side, either above or below the hand of that human. The other one over here. If you're sitting on the end of a row, put your other hand down. Your imaginary friend is not here. Keep your hands very still. Please do not move them. Keep them very still. Please do not move them until I give you the magic word that indicates you can begin moving them, and that magic word is go. So here's what's going to happen. When I say go, we're going to see exactly who we've got in the room. We're going to do an activity that's never been done before in the McCain to the Auditorium in Manhattan to the Kansas. It is called Team Round of Applause. Now keep your hands very still. Please do not move them. That's great. Some of you are practicing. They're like, I've never done this before. This is not a CDE. This is not being judged. You will not receive a plaque or any money. Keep them very still. I will find out where you live. So here's what's going to happen. When I count to 3 and say go, you're going to begin clapping with the two people next to you until I count to 10. When I count to 10, you're probably going to set your arms down and go into a deep, deep coma sleep, all right? So turn to the two people beside you and say, I'm so sorry about this. Research shows 27% of the room will be injured during this activity. This is a number that the Kansas FFA Association I have agreed is acceptable losses. So here we go. Hands out, very still on the count of 3 and go. You clap until I count 10. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and stop. Yes. Nice job. Nice work. All right. Yeah, we got time. Here we go. Nice work. I knew you could do it. I knew you could. That wasn't a test. I knew you could make it happen, Captains. I knew you had it in you. I knew you'd rock it out. Okay, let's see if you're really ready. Let's do round 2. Here we go. Front edge of your chair. Oh, come on. What? Like I'm asking you to do the dishes, slop the hogs, right? Come on, just front edge of your chair. Some of y'all need a little motivation. That's all right. I'll give you just a little bit of motivation, just a little bit. Oh, just refuel you. All right, now round 2. Front edge of your chair, feet firmly on the ground, hands out to your side. Round 2 is going to be just like round 1. Wait, that was round 4 and round 2. Round 2 is going to be just like round 1, except for one small difference. In round 2, your eyes are closed. All right, now don't start yet. Don't start yet, but go ahead and close your eyes. Now, I can't see you. I'm totally only going on trust, right? But don't start yet. Some of you are like, where are you? Where are you? How many fingers am I holding up? That means your eyes aren't closed. How could they fall for that? That was so easy. Close your eyes. Wow, some of you, I can tell, are not closing your eyes. You do not trust the people beside you. You're like, dude, hey, speaker dude, if I close my eyes, this person may punch me in the pancreas. That may happen. There's only like a 12% chance they even know where the pancreas is in the human body, so don't worry about it. Okay, here we go. Hands to your side on the count of 3 with eyes closed the entire time. You're going to begin clapping with the 2 people beside you until I count to 10. Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3, go! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and stop. Give yourselves a round of applause. You did a good job. Go ahead and lean back. Go ahead and lean back. Make yourself comfortable. Oh, just kidding. Wow, I'm warming up a little bit just listening to you guys work so hard. And because of the Mack truck thing. All right. Okay. Now, sometimes I like to go to round 3. We don't really have time for it, and I don't know if everyone is fully equipped. Round 3, what we do is everyone gets a pen or a pencil. We turn the lights all the way off. We play a little game called Who Has the Sharpest Writing Utensil? There's the guy that got a rake thrown at him 2 weeks ago. Let's go! All right. So why did we just spend a few minutes doing a little activity called Team Round of Applause, which, by the way, that's a freebie. Take that home. Do that back at school, maybe at a chapter meeting, maybe when you're in line at Walmart. Hey, let's go. The reason why I like to do that activity, even though I can't see you, I've led that activity a couple of 1,000 times, actually. And the reason why I do that is really because I already know the answer, but I want to find out and make sure it's still true for this evening, tonight, last day of May 2018 in McCain Auditorium, Manhattan, Kansas, 90th Kansas FFA State Convention. Please let me know in round 2, with your eyes closed, give me another round of applause if you were still able to clap with the 2 people beside you. Round of applause, were you? Yes? Okay. All right. We got a lot of research. That's enough. We got a lot of research we got to cover here. So I'm going to call that in my minor in college was marketing, and we did a lot of research. And in official marketing terminology, I'm going to say that the number of people that just clapped is a lot. So whether your eyes were open or closed, you were still able to accomplish your goal, yes? Yes, absolutely. What was your goal? Your goal was to slap the 2 people beside you unless they were someone's mother, and we covered that earlier. So whether your eyes were open or closed, you were still able to clap with the 2 people beside you, and why? Well, of course, there's easy answers. The reason why, first of all, is because it's an easy activity. Like, I got hands, they got hands, eyes open, eyes closed, let's make it happen, Captain. It was very simple, right? As to say, you didn't have to have your eyes open to accomplish your goal. Are you with me? Say, uh-huh. Now, the reason why we reached that conclusion and the reason why we did this is because Team Round of Applause is just like a lot of things in life. Okay? There's a lot of things in life that it doesn't matter whether you have your eyes open or closed to them, and you can still accomplish your goal. All right? An example. I'm a professional speaker. I was on 140 stages last year in 23 states. I've been doing this just a little bit, speaking since age of 2. I have held literally thousands of these in my hand. A very important critical piece of the process this evening, right? Because if the people that are sitting up in the death zone above 30,000 feet, particularly Washington FFA, all the way in the top, like they can smell the D.O. Ethan is wearing, all right? Like they're sitting really high, right? They would not be able to hear me very well if I was not using this. But if you asked me, hey, speaker guy, how does that technology work? How does it work that whenever you now it sounds like I'm related to God. And you asked me, how does that work? You're obviously a professional speaker. It must be critical to your, to your thing that you got going on up there. And I'd look you straight in the eyeball, probably the left one, and I'd say, I got no idea. I got no clue. I have no idea how this technology works, and how do I feel about it? Perfectly fine. I don't care. We got Kylo, we got Jono, we got Maria, we got all the helpers that have handed me the what-oh, we got Sandio, they give me the thing, and I put my face in front of it, I talk, it works, I don't need to understand. I don't have to have my eyes open to how this technology works for me to accomplish my goal. What's my goal? My goal is to get you listening and keep you listening and do something valuable with your attention. That's my goal tonight. But I don't have to have my eyes open to how this works for me to accomplish that goal. Now, the real reason why we're talking about this is because there are certain things in life that you do have to have your eyes open to if you're going to accomplish your goals. We call these the what matters most. We call these the non-negotiables. We call these the topics that the state officers pick for their retiring addresses. We call this the key 287 of the 287 words in the FFA Creed. We call the ones that really matter most, which is about 200 of them, right? We call these the words that are in our motto. We call these the words that are in our creed, that are in our opening ceremony. We call these the words that are in the national anthem. We call these the words that are in the 10 Commandments. We call these the things that matter most, right? And for us to be able to pull those things off and to make that happen, we got to have our eyes open to how they work if we're going to accomplish our goal. An example, FFA works because it's teaching you that we reward who you are as a person, and we reward the effort and what you do with what you've been given. As a state FFA officer in Oklahoma, speaking from my experience, and just like my driver this evening, I'd like to give a round of applause for my driver. His name is Ridge Hughbanks. He was last year's Oklahoma FFA state president. Please give Ridge a round of applause for driving me to the event this evening. So Ridge was state president last year in Oklahoma. I was state president 20 years ago in Oklahoma, right? Eli here, and then the other officers in Kansas and in Oklahoma. Like in Oklahoma, we didn't even take classes on Tuesdays and Thursdays at college because we had so much work to do. Like these aren't leadership positions that are just like, look good on the resume, have fun, you're going to do about 8 things this year. No, it's like you're going to do 8 things today. You got to put in the work. Right? FFA works because it puts you to work, right? Learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, right? FFA is helping you understand in a real meaningful, down to the marrow in your bones way about what matters most, right? And the question is, how are you doing at paying attention to that? Are you grateful for the opportunities in front of you? And what are you doing with them? What are you doing with them? The gold that is buried at Fort Knox is worth nothing until we pull it up and trade it, use it, have a number attached to it on a market, right? Purchase something with it. Man, there's a few of you sitting in this room that, man, you like Fort Knox. You got so much skill, so many talents, but you're just holding back. You got that self-talk that says, I'm not good enough. I can't do that. I'm not smart enough. I don't come from the right home, the right family. Those are lies. Absolute lies. And I know. I'm a professional speaker. I was a state FFA officer for 2 years. Whenever I was in middle school and early high school, I didn't like even talking to myself, let alone talking to other people. Right? And I'm so grateful that my dad pushed me in the FFA and said, hey, give this a try. So grateful. Now, let me tell you about my friend Jason. All right? Let me tell you about my friend Jason. I really want, this is one of the points tonight. This is why I've been asked to be here tonight. Everyone turn to someone next to you after I read what's on this card, and I'd like you to come up with your best guess, okay, to what this person named Jason does, okay? And he works for NASA. You may have heard of him. They're kind of a big deal. Right? You got the Earth, and then you got billions and billions and billions and billions and billions of the rest of it. NASA's into all the billions. Here is, oh, no, first of all, pick your person. You're going to the left, the right. You're going to the person in front of you. You're just going to talk to yourself. You have a committee in your head. Who's the person you're going to be brainstorming with? Okay? Well, your job is whenever I read this job title, your task with whatever human you have chosen is to come up with what do you think this person who has this job title does. Are you with me? Say, uh-huh. All right, now let me get the right. Let me get. I gotta DJ the conversation. Santana, we're so done with you. You're so 5 minutes ago. All right. No. No. Yes. Hello. Oh, I know it. Everyone remain seated. I know exactly where I'm going. Yes. Let's see if I haven't deleted it because I got a lot of. Yep. I got to play this called the Milky Way. It's all about out of space stuff. What is wrong with me? All right, here we go. When the song starts, after I read this title, turn to the closest person to you, come up with your best guess of what this person does for NASA. Here is his title. At NASA, he is the Flight Operations Directorate and Validation Lead. I'll say it one more time. NASA Flight Operations Directorate and Validation Lead. Turn to someone and see if you can guess what that person does. Go. All right, follow-up question. What artist is this? To your partner. What artist is this? To your partner. What artist? What artist is it? Christopher Tiberius Stapleton. That's right. Absolutely. All right. Give me a round of applause if you think you're even close with your guess on the job title thing. Okay. All right. Good. Good. Okay. Part of the reason why there's so many applause there is because of Google and also because of just eternal optimism by FFA members. You're just so hopeful. I love you. How many people, round of applause, you have no clue what this person does? That's called truthiness. All right. My friend Jason, last name Kruska, NASA Flight Operations Director and Validation Lead. Here's what this means. My friend Jason graduated with him at Oklahoma State University. Then he went on to NASA after he got a master's and a doctorate. Went out of NASA, and he basically was in charge of two things. My friend Jason was in charge of one thing was the Orion spacecraft, okay, the Orion Project. The Orion Project is basically a craft that is going to take astronauts farther out into space than ever gone before. The purpose is by 2040 to get humans to orbit Mars. They're going to be in Orion. Okay, and Jason's job was he was the team leader in charge of all of the communication that is going to happen from planet Earth and the assets that NASA has to Orion. He was in charge of all of the people that's doing all that advanced math. Pretty big deal. The other thing that my friend Jason does is called being in charge of the book. Now, the book, as you can imagine, is a book, and it's big, and it contains every record of all of the communications that happen between planet Earth and NASA assets on planet Earth and all of the NASA assets in outer space. Jason was in charge of getting that book put together. It is so important that it is the only document put together by NASA at Johnson Space Center down south of Houston that has to go to the top Lord High Mocuses at the NASA headquarters in D.C. for approval. Like, this is an important book. Now, give me an uh-huh if you ever hang around people who are very opinionated. Yeah, give me an uh-huh if you ever hang around people that think they're always the smartest person in the room. Give me an uh-huh if you ever hang around people who they have an opinion about being the smartest person in the room, and they'll share it with you even if you don't ask. Jason was involved of being in charge of a room full of all of those type of people. Really smart, really opinionated. They got something to say. So, what you don't know about Jason is two very important things. First of all, when he was 14 years old in a freak bicycle accident in a small town in southwestern Oklahoma, Jason became a quadriplegic, which means that from the age of 14, and then the second thing that you don't know about Jason, he died just a couple of years ago from a kidney stone surgery. 5% of all Americans, at least, that have to have their kidney stones surgically removed pass away from their surgery. From that entire time, from 2015 back to 1986, he was in a wheelchair. He couldn't move any hand or any part of his left side and could only move a couple of fingers on his right hand. My friend Jason also had a speech impediment, as you would call it, where if you've ever met someone that's not from around here, right, and it takes you time to be able to understand how they speak. It's like if you've ever been around with someone from southeastern Oklahoma, it's a challenge. It's like Louisiana, Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, mashed together. It would take people a while to understand what Jason was saying. Now, another thing you don't know about my friend Jason is that he was rarely late to work. He rarely called in sick. He always had a smile on his face. He always had time to stop in the hallways and talk. See, I'm really good friends with his brother, Jarrett, and his brother, Jarrett, asked me to speak at the memorial service for Jason's in Altus, the small town that he's from, because Jarrett knew he couldn't do it. And so I did some advanced research on how Jason operated down at NASA, and those were the words of his coworkers and his bosses. Always friendly, always had time to talk, rarely late for work, rarely did he complain. Quadriplegic since he was 14, in charge of the Orion communication for that spacecraft, in charge of the book. Now, if you and I were in conversation about this, it would be pretty evident that my friend Jason had many reasons to complain. But as the famous godfather of motivational speakers put it, our job is to have many reasons to complain, but simply choose not to. Don't be the person that brightens the room when they leave the room. Okay? Students, one way that we can tell that you haven't quite got, and even us adults, haven't quite got to the point of really where gratefulness is making a difference in your life is whenever something small really gets you on edge and really aggravates you. That's when you just need to put your focus back on gratefulness. Something else you don't know about my friend Jason is when he married a young lady named Moon. Now that's crazy. What I'm saying to you, young people, is when we put on this jacket, and we put on the jacket no matter what we wear, our job is to show people that what we've learned in life and what we've learned, especially through the FFA, is that when we're grateful for what we've been given, whatever it is, that it is displayed and manifested by how we interact with others, always friendly. How we give other people our attention, always had time. How we respect other people, always on time at meetings, rarely called in late to work. How we apply ourselves, learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve. My friend Ridge Hughbanks drove me here this evening because since February I have not been able to drive. And I've been spending a lot of money on Uber. And thankfully, my parents are retired, Dad from teaching ag and my mom from nursing, and they drive me around because in Oklahoma, there's a 6-month period after you have a seizure that you can't get behind the wheel. And so I'm a professional speaker is my second job. My first job is professional traveler, so it's complicated things a bit, and I get to make a decision. How am I going to respond to what God has given me? How am I going to respond to the story that has already been written for me. Okay? I get to choose. And I'm thankful for Ridge, for him driving me up here and driving me back. I hope he's still here. But the reason why I had a seizure and the reason why I wear this medical ID, yep, it's there. If I shake it, there we go. The reason why I wear this medical ID is also the reason why this tennis ball's sitting here. You see, the reason why I have seizures, and I've only had 2, thankfully, is because in August of 2014, a team of doctors discovered that I had a tennis ball-sized brain tumor, and it was right behind my left eye. And the tumor, we didn't know what it was caused by. I graduated with 36 people from Laverne, Oklahoma, all right? We had an outhouse on our property. We used the outhouse every winter because the pipes would freeze up, all right? Well, this is a village, all right? You know what I'm talking about. Kansas is full of them, right? And we love it. It's the best places on planet Earth, right? I graduated 36 people. One of those 36 people is the oncologist at the hospital where they discovered my tumor. If you don't know, an oncologist is a cancer expert. I don't know if you've been told this before or not, but there are no coincidences in life. Everything happens for a reason. And my friend Dr. Jess Armour told me after they discovered Wilson, I've given my tumor a name because I don't care. My friend Dr. Jess Armour told me we're not going to be able to really know why the tumor's there. And so I let it go. This guy, the smartest guy I know, right? Well, a month later in Dallas, Texas, they went down straight right here, 7-hour surgery. I got a piece of titanium. They closed the hole back. They don't leave it open. And a piece of titanium about that size right there. 7-hour surgery. They went down and they took Wilson out. A week later, they discovered that from the biopsy that my tumor was benign, which means no cancer. I've had 8 follow-up MRIs since then, still no cancer. So I have a very blessed version of this story, absolutely. But that's why I had the seizure, is because it's common for people who have had brain surgery to get their wiring a little off center, and that causes seizures, okay? But the reason why I tell you this story is because of what's written on the other side of Wilson. And this is where we're going to end tonight. You see, what's written on the other side of Wilson, it says live to serve. You see, a lot of people ask me when I first got the tumor, they said, why do you think it happened? And not for the reason I was talking about a second ago, like what caused it, right? Did you live under highline wires? Were you hit by a rake as a child? Like, what was the reason for the tumor? But in terms of why is it in your plan, right? Like when we have struggles, and in this room, you know who I'm talking to, the struggles that are going on in your life, you got to battle with why do they exist, right? And so when they'd ask me that question, when I first was starting to recover, I didn't know the answer. And then something happened, and the answer became very clear. You see, about a month after I got back to work, I was off work for about 15 weeks, one of my friends told me a story. And this friend is one of my professional speaker buddies. He actually lives here in Kansas, lives in Lawrence. He's the biggest Rock Chalk Jayhawk fan you'd ever imagine. I mean, this guy named a kid Lawrence Allen, right? That's Kansas fan, right? And so, yeah, there's like 3 of them in the room, and they were going to applaud, and then they remembered who they were hanging out with. Go Wildcats. So there were 3 of my speaking buddies, the gentleman that I'm referring to in this story, okay, and 2 other of my speaking buddies that first night at the hospital when they discovered Wilson, got my phone from Ashley, my wife, and figured out how they could, the 3 of them, go do all of my speaking events for the rest of that calendar year. We didn't know the condition of the tumor. We didn't know what was going on, but they figured, hey, this is probably not going to be good. And Retro, that's my nickname, is going to need our help. And so these 3 gentlemen, as well as a couple of others, went out and did all of my speaking engagement the rest of 2014, and they told Ashley and I, we're going to go do these speaking events. You guys just pay our expenses, and we'll gift you the income. That's called living to serve. Now, one of those gentlemen was with me in Manhattan, Kansas, oddly enough, at a speaking event. And he wanted to hear me tell my story. And so halfway through the breakfast, it was for a regional, or maybe it's called district farm bureau meeting. Halfway through my presentation, he got up and left the room. I was like, well, there's a good friend. Like, I'm the godfather of one of his children. And so I finished the event, and I got in the truck, and I was driving then, and we got on I-70. Well, we were getting on I-70. As soon as we were getting on, I turned to my friend, and I said, hey, brother, why'd you get up and leave the room? And he looked at me, and as he started to answer, the tone of his voice went to a level that I'd never heard before, and I've known this man for 20 years. And what he told me was, Rhett, I had to get up and leave the room because I was going to be bawling out loud, and I didn't want to be disruptive to your presentation. And he said the reason why is because last summer, so the summer before Wilson was discovered, he said I was this close to committing suicide. And this man's 10 years older than me. He said I was this close to committing suicide. But when Wilson happened, and you and Ashley needed me, and needed the other guys, and I was out there doing all that work, just out of the love of a brother, it changed my mind about my worth on this planet. It changed my mind about making that decision. If my friend walked in right through that door and walked in right now, you'd see a man with a smile on his face, love in his heart. And so the reason why I went through this pain, the reason why I struggled, because my friend needed to serve. I was hurting, and my friend helped me. Right? There's power in serving others. I saw it in this man's face. I heard it in his voice. I believe that my friend would not be alive today if I had not gone through these struggles. What am I asking you to do with that? What I'm asking you to do with that is to say, first of all, you got a Wilson in your life. Wilson represents something that is stealing our best from us, stealing our ability to do what we're supposed to do with our lives. You've got a Wilson because you got a belly button. Everybody does. What you have to do is you got to take a personal inventory, and you need to find out what it is, and then you need to go to work on it because it lies to us. It says you're not good enough. It says you're not smart enough. It says you don't live in the right place. Our Wilsons lie to us. We got to go to work on them. I didn't overcome this on my own. I needed the doctors. I needed the nurses. I needed my friends, my family, my wife, my faith. You got to let people help you. And then you got to pay attention to the people in your life. There's somebody in your life that is hurting. And when people hurt, that gives leaders an opportunity to serve. Learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve. Man, I believe in the future of agriculture with a faith born not of words but of deeds. Achievements won by the present and past generations of agriculturalists in the promise of better days through better ways, even as the better things we now enjoy have come to us from the struggles of former years. Man, I hope you had fun tonight. I don't know who needed tonight. Somebody in this room needed Wilson tonight. Someone in this room needed me tonight. And if that person's you, I'm glad I was here for you. God bless you. Have a great rest of convention. Thank you for having me.
Rhett.
Yes.
Thank you for serving not only as an inspiration for us tonight, but for an inspiration for FFA members across our nation. We greatly appreciate your willingness to come up to Manhattan, here at the Little Apple. And on behalf of the Kansas FFA Association, please accept this token of our appreciation. We have grabbed this session by the halter and heard many lessons from the show barn. It has been a pleasure stepping into the show ring with you during this 4th session of the 90th Kansas FFA Convention. And I now call upon your president, Eli Oldie, to assume the duties of the chair.
Madam Secretary, do you have record of any further business which should now be transacted?
Yes, I do, Mr. President. The 5th session of the 90th Kansas FFA Convention is tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Highlights of the 5th session will include the retiring address of your 2017-2018 Kansas FFA Sentinel, Skylar Denayo, Agri-Science Students Recognition, special remarks from our National FFA Advisor, Dr. Steve Brown, as well as recognition of our state CDE winners.
Thank you. Does any member know of any new or unfinished business which should properly come before this session? We are about to adjourn this, the 4th session of the 90th Kansas FFA Convention. As we mingle with others, let us be diligent in labor, just in our dealings, courteous to everyone, and above all, honest and fair in the game of life. Fellow members and guests, join me in a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I now declare this the 4th session of the 90th Kansas FFA Convention adjourned.